So hello, everyone. Chris Hagerstrom here with JSA, and welcome to our second episode of our JSA podcast. Today, we've got a really interesting episode. I'm honored to be sitting here with our CEO, Rick Harman, and we're going to talk about kind of the state of the industry, the state of JSA, things that are going on in the marketplace today, to get an executive's perspective, to get a perspective from Rick, and with all of his experience and everything that he brings to the table. This should be a very good conversation. So, Rick, thanks for joining me today.
It's awesome. Awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. So just a little introduction about yourself.
Sure. I've been in the insurance industry now since 1987. So I've had a long, illustrious career just, doing something that I love. And I think I can go back to the earlier days when I first started in the business back in 87. Started out as a wholesaler, went into actually my own as an independent agent. I did that for a number of years and became a captive agent, career agent. I worked in different home offices, leading marketing departments, new business development departments. So I've had a wealth of experience in the industry, and it's been just, something, I live the life I could have only dreamed of. Really do.
Yeah, the insurance industry is an amazing way of doing that for sure.
Yeah, and being an engineer by trade, and then getting into the insurance business, I really look at it as problem solving. It's not so much sales as it is just solving people's problems.
Those can come in all different sizes and shapes and forms.
Definitely.
Well, you've got a lot of experience. I mean, it gives you a really unique perspective on the industry as a whole. So when we look at kind of a little tidbit about today, when we look at all the headwinds that we're seeing in the market today, they're coming from all over the place. We've got the service area reductions, we've got non-commissionable plans, we've got impacts and changes because of legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act. What do you see as the outlook on the Medicare Advantage market? That's the big thing. Of course, we have the annual enrollment period come up. What do you see as like the outlook on that Medicare Advantage market as we get into this AEP and then kind of looking through 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, it's tough in some ways. I mean, I look at the opportunity to me, and having lived this life so long, what I'll tell you is whenever a door closes, another one eventually opens. It may not be in the exact moment that you need it. And there is no doubt, as an agent out there, to me, what JSA tries to do is to take away some of that back office stuff, some of the administrative stuff, so that they can focus on what they do best, which is selling. And, when there is turmoil, they need to do, and especially these last couple of years, this year's, it looks like it's going to be somewhat similar. They're going to have to do a lot of selling. And a lot of times they're selling just to keep the business they have, not going out and trying to proactively find more customers. And so the more we can help them with, like I said, all that back office stuff, the more they're going to be able to do the things that gives them an opportunity to find those new customers, to try to grow their book of business, not just try to conserve their book of business.
What do you think are some of the biggest ways that JSA helps with that back office?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, when I first started, it was funny. I asked, so what's our value prop? What do we do better than anybody? And the answer that I got, and it's a very simple answer, it was, we answer the phone. We pick up the phone. And as simplistic as that is, and I look at that as table stakes in a lot of ways.
Right.
Doesn't everybody pick up the phone?
You would think.
And what you find out, they don't.
Exactly.
They're not picking up the phone, and they're not answering and helping an agent solve the problems, the internal problems they may have with helping them with understanding a product, helping them directionally find out what products might be in their area, which products are going away in their area. What are those solutions? It could be helping them with a claim. It could be, again, the strategy part of the business and just helping them grow. And, as we look to, and I know we may talk about this a little bit and as we go on with this, but we really, to me, are not just about providing a contract to an agent. It goes so far beyond that. And to me, our vision at JSA is to really provide agents not just the tools necessary, but to really help them grow their business, help them manage their time more effectively, help them do the things that they don't get when they're at home. Can be, especially if you're an independent agent, it can be a very lonely world.
Very lonely world.
You don't have anybody, able to talk. Sometimes you don't have anyone else to talk to. It's
Mm-mm.
just you on an island. And the more we can help them feel like they're part of something, the more we can help them develop as a leader, the better and the stronger our value proposition will be.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting point, and that's something that I try and keep to heart is to really understand that a lot of the agents that we partner with and a lot of the agents who love working with are those truly independent agents. It's those guys that are out there that are working, guys and girls working for themselves that don't have a boss. They're not clocking in every single day. They don't have a sales leader breathing down their neck. They're just going out there and ultimately they're trying to educate and help as much as they possibly can. And it does get a little bit lonely. And it seems like there's been in the industry as a whole, when it comes to things that FMOs are offering, a lot of that seems to kind of hinge on technology. So what are the things that JSA has done recently, and maybe even looking into the future? What are we looking to do from a technology standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny when again, I've been at JSA. It'll be coming up on 3 years, and again, it's been a tremendous ride. I've learned so much from you, from others within the organization, just about some of the things that I wasn't completely familiar with on the at an FMO level. Since my last opportunity was more with a captive organization,
Mm.
but the technology piece of it, when you talk about technology, what things can we do? It's always about what things can we do to help that agent manage their customer base, prospect, which I always think is number one, is struggle that an agent might have. What things can we do to help them with that? And so we launched the CRM. It's called Core. Just a phenomenal asset to agents to help them manage their book of business, to help manage their customers, and so that it can help them. Again, the more we can leverage technology, and I always look at technology as a catalyst to a business, not a function of business. It's in today's world. I think it's in a lot of ways it becomes both. It becomes a function as well as a catalyst to a business,
Mm-hmm.
and it's everything we do is revolves around what our agents ask us for, what our agents need, what our agents want. And so all of our technology platforms that we have, they're all built, we like to say sort of by the field or by the agents, for
Mm-hmm.
the agents. They're not for JSA, they're
Mm-mm.
for the agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, huge investments in technology over the past year. Core launching in May of this year. We've had some enhancements even on the quoting and enrollment software with
Yeah.
active analytics, and we have Blade Sync with Sunfire and all these different options and opportunities. Where do you see technology fitting into kind of the vision of JSA as we head forward? Do you think that it's going to be kind of a necessary thing that agents really need to adopt as they get into more products and more processes and more solutions that are out there, especially from a cross-selling standpoint? Or do you think that agents would be able to really find success without some of the technology tools that exist?
Great question. And if you were to ask me that question 20 years ago, 25 years ago, what I would have told you is the best agents hate technology. All they want to do is be in front of prospects. They don't want to have to do anything except get in front of a prospect and help solve a problem.
Hmm.
That's all they want to do. They don't want technology. And in today's world, everything is about technology. We've all had to evolve.
Hmm.
We've all had to look at it and say, it's been a complete paradigm shift. So technology no longer, in a lot of ways, is optional. It's a necessity that an agent must embrace to a
Hmm.
certain extent. It doesn't mean that they have to adopt or adapt every tool that's out there because it can be paralysis. Leveraging the ones, and that's what the focus for us is to try to help them leverage the pieces or the tools that will help them grow,
Hmm.
because everyone is going to be a little bit unique. Everybody is going to maybe needs a certain tool that's going to help benefit them. the CRM. There are pieces of it that an agent may say, I don't need that, but I need this piece and I'm going to utilize this piece of core.
Mhm.
I'm just not ready to use some of this other stuff that you have. That's awesome. For me, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And the nice thing about technology is it's constantly evolving. So we have a lot of cool stuff in the works for
Yeah.
core and a lot of
Yeah.
enhancements that we're going to be doing to it. And agents have embraced it right now and have really been helping us build the system. So, like you said before, a lot of the things that we offer, it's for agents. It was built by agents because it truly is built by agents. We work with them very closely to
Yes.
help with this technology. Getting a little bit out of the tools of the trade and getting into more of a little bit of experience in the business and where we see kind of the market going. We'll talk Medicare here for a second. So when we look back at this past year, we look at our performance in Medicare, including this last AEP. What were some of the successes that we've had, that we've seen in the industry?
Last year, which is again attributable to everybody on the entire JSA team. I give everybody a credit. I always say everybody matters, no matter how big or how small. Everyone matters in the organization. We're always hands on, all hands on deck, especially during AEP, especially knowing how much agents need us, depend on us. And so we had a tremendous year from a production standpoint when you look at our overall sales.
Hmm.
But like many agents, a lot of it I call it equated to sort of shifting deck chairs. They did they helped their customer because they had to. They didn't necessarily grow their customer base as much as they wanted, and it was more of just a maintaining,
Big
but
retention year.
big retention year. But if you look at what the agents did on a global basis, we had a record breaking number of sales during AEP.
Mm.
Just unfortunately, like I said, it was more about just helping a customer move from one product to another because something happened within
Hmm.
that product.
With as we get into the big challenges that we see in the marketplace for this year, and then looking at what the industry looks like ahead of it, what is kind of the vision for JSA from a kind of a product standpoint as we get into through this AEP and we get into 2026 and beyond? What's kind of on our vision board? What are we looking to help agents with? And where do you see kind of the direction from us over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I talk about our BHAG, our BHAG, which is the acronym for a big, hairy, audacious goal. And our goals as an organization, my vision is for us by 2029 to be writing over 300,000 carrier MAs and to have 50% of our business coming from non-MA, non-med sup business by
Mhm.
2029. How we get there, what we're going to be, what we need to do differently. We're starting. We haven't completely cracked the code, so to speak, and
Mhm.
figuring out everything of what we need to do. Number one, though, to get there, and it's healthy being 80%, 90% of our business having it come from Medicare related products
Mhm.
is scary to me.
Mhm.
And it's scary because you never know. You never want to have that door close and then not be prepared or not having something on the side that's going to help open that other door, like we talked about earlier. So, diversification, being able to help agents with cross selling. Not every agent is going to want to change. What we have to realize is we have to focus on the ones that we can help today, and then some will evolve and want to write other products because the more diversified we are as an organization, the stronger we will be overall to weather any storm.
Mhm.
There's always going to be a storm. There's something's always going to happen.
Yep.
And we just have to be, if it happens, we just have to have our backup plan in place, or we have to be running, in tandem something else so that if something happens here, this area is able to pick it up. So then we're back to normal, or
Mhm.
we're ahead.
Exactly. I noticed over the past few years, we've seen a dramatic increase in cross sales. with our agents. We see a lot more hospital indemnity sales than ever. We see a lot more cancer insurance sales than ever. Outside of the cross sales specific to a Medicare client, where do you think are some opportunities for kind of that diversification of your portfolio for an agent outside of the Medicare system? Where do you see some of the biggest opportunities for growth?
There's a lot of them. I mean, I think to me the way to answer that question, and I'm a firm believer in this, is we agents that are holistic selling, agents that are focused on trying to go visit a prospective insured or an existing customer and understand what's going on with them. My first question as an agent when I would be talking to somebody, my first question when I wanted to talk about their health was, "Hey, you know what, Chris? You look awesome on the outside. But what I need to know is what's going on the inside."
Mm,
And the more you learn about what's going on the inside of their, not just physically, but mentally, what do they worry about?
yep.
What are their concerns? And the only way you do that is through either, whether you want to call it a needs analysis, a fact finder. Those are the only two. That's by starting there, even if your first pivot is going to be trying to help them solve their Medicare problem,
Mm,
you now have access to a wealth of knowledge and other products that you can help them with. The product I sold the most, and this is back in the 90s, so it's again, I'm dating myself, was actually long-term care, and specifically home health care. And at that time, when you talked about home health care, people would ask you, "Oh, is this someone to have someone come in and clean my house?" Oh,
no
people
idea.
really had no idea what long-term care was. It used to be, I think on page 66 or 67 of the Medicare guide, you'd flip that open and you'd say, you know, "Here, Mr. Hagerstrom, if you look here, as it says in the guide, Medicare does not cover custodial care."
Yep.
And that's the piece that is the most concerning. And I can
Mhm.
tell you, I've experienced it in real life. I have my own long-term care policy. I sold my parents' long-term care policy.
Mm,
My mom has since passed. My dad is still on it. He's been reaping benefits for quite some time. And so that was always my easiest sort of pivot point because
mhm.
everyone knows someone who's experienced it.
Yep.
And so it's a pretty, for me, it's a relatively easy pivot to uncovering a need and helping solve a problem on that end. One of the other easiest products out there on the market today are some annuities, and the entry point for me is to help agents get their feet wet with them if they're not real comfortable with annuities.
Mm,
Our MIGA products, multi-year guarantee annuities,
yep.
very simple to understand, very simple to convey to their prospect and their customers. And if they're, to me, I encourage agents, if that's it. One of the easiest way to help diversify is to talk about either long-term care,
Mhm.
annuities, final expense. I mean, there's just, like, so much opportunity in our
There's a
business.
lot of opportunity. There's always opportunity for those products, and all it takes is a simple statement or one question
Yeah.
when you're sitting across from your client to really break into some of those things. We did years ago, we taught a CE course called Senior Risk Planning. And part of the CE course was this is one question you should ask all of your clients over the next 5 years. What is your biggest concern?
Yeah.
And then let them talk and then be quiet until they come up with an answer. And just that one simple question is an easy way to start those additional conversations. Long-term care is an interesting one too, because in the 90s, it was a relatively newer product because that had just come out in the 80s. It was kind of still in its infancy. And I think a lot of the agents in the market kind of moved away from selling long-term care because we all saw what happened to them. We
Yeah.
had carriers leave the business. We had no more unlimited benefit policies. Everything was kind of structured. And of course, we saw the rate increases. So with long-term care, and the mini revolution that's kind of gone on there, it's not just a long-term care policy anymore, is it? What are the options that are kind of the most competitive out there for agents to really look into?
Yeah, and there's always a starting point, I think, and it's a sort of one of those things as you're talking to your customer about sort of what's going on in their life. And to me, long-term care having a policy gives you choice, probably is the primary reason for it for me. Does obviously if you ask when you ask that question about, what are they concerned with over the next 5 years, what I can tell you when, as someone that's sort of approaching that period in their life where they think about retirement,
Mhm.
the number one concern most seniors have is outliving their assets,
Mm.
not having enough money, either to leave to their children or whatever else it
Or even
might
just
be.
to survive.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
survive. And you look at Medicare, if you had, let's say you were on Medicare and you had no supplement, what's your risk? What's gonna be your out of pocket if you had just Medicare versus what happens if you have a stroke and you need full-time care? What's the cost there? And when you're talking 60 to $80,000 a year in care, that's expensive, and that's a huge risk, and a huge exposure for people. So for me, it's when you're passionate about it, when you feel it, you don't have the unlimited benefit periods anymore.
Nope.
Insurance companies, I think in the beginning there was this, everybody thought, oh, insurance companies are making all this money. In reality, they weren't,
Nope.
and they've really struggled, a lot of them that had those unlimited benefit period policies. But having something, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years,
Mm.
whether you graduate into more comprehensive plan, you have annuities with long-term care riders, you have second to die life policies that have long-term care provisions in them. They're regular life, whole life, single premium whole life with long-term care provisions in them. I think it's all based on that customer and where they're at in their life,
Mm.
what kind of assets they have today, what kind of assets they want to protect, what things they feel most comfortable with.
Mhm.
There's even some long-term care policies with return of premium
Yep.
now. And, that to me is if other companies get on board with that, I think that would be a great product because again, you don't use it, you really don't lose it.
Yep.
And as long as you keep it, you get your money, you get that return of premium back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of advancements coming up
Oh,
in the long-term care
it's
space.
like I said, there, just when you think, excuse me, just when you think we can't develop anything more, someone else comes out with another idea.
No lack of innovation, that's for sure. So when it comes to being the leader of JSA, being the CEO of Jack Schrader and Associates, we all know, and for anyone who's worked in any company, that culture is a big part of the driver of success within an organization. Where do you think culture plays here specifically at JSA?
I came into a culture, I guess I call it a little bit of a dichotomy in that there were some things probably that we needed to definitely work on and improve. And there's some certain things, especially as it related to an agent,
Mhm.
that I felt so good about in my heart and the way sort of the team, because I look at the people we have and everything is always about people.
Mhm.
I believe that, and I think most people believe that in business. The buzzwords today about servant leadership and what you look for, what you want to, how you help drive some of that culture, and whether you should have a charismatic leader or charismatic culture. And to me, it's always about the culture.
Always.
Always about the culture.
Yes, absolutely. Having been employed here for 20 years, I think this culture is unmatched. I've seen other organizations. I've known other organizations for many years, and the culture is one of the things that I'm most fortunate to experience on a daily basis at JSA. I love the folks I work with, and I love the culture we have. So thank you for that. When it comes to our employees, how are we supporting our employees through their professional growth, through their career? What are the things that we do for our employees?
Great question. And for me, walking the walk is all about what things can we do. I talk about it, succession planning regularly with my team. I expect them to talk about succession planning with their teams regularly, because it starts there. You never know when something could happen. But I'm a huge believer in growth. I personally have a professional coach to help me with my leadership. He does a phenomenal job with that. I have him working with some others in the organization, to help them grow professionally and personally. I think it goes, there's both pieces are important. When I have conversations with my team, I want to know personally, or do they doing the things that they need to in their home life,
Mhm.
um, to get what they want, and as well as in the professional life. I sort of have a saying. I say, um, you can either live your dream or you can live someone else's.
Mhm.
And I want people to live their dreams. I don't want them to live someone else's.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a lot of employees that have been with JSA for a long time. It's fun to see all the different things that we get to do and the different opportunities for growth and workshops that we get to
Yeah.
attend. And I know that's awesome. And the whole idea behind that is to keep the right people in the right position because I think service is probably one of our most valuable assets that we have in supporting our agents. Besides the service, what are we doing to kind of enhance that agent experience with JSA as we look into even through this annual enrollment period and through 2026?
Sure. Um, we always have to have top of mind that we need to continually evolve, right? We as an organization evolving, to me, you're either growing or I read this book this recently, and it's you're either growing or you're decaying. It's not like it's one or the other, it's you're either growing or you're decaying. And so and I have these quarterly town hall meetings where I talk about this, trying to make sure that people realize that we need to keep evolving as an organization. And what does
Mhm.
that mean for me? Helping more. We're a sales organization. We're a service organization. We need to make sure the salespeople are doing the things they need to help their existing customer, which are agents, helping them grow, providing them solutions, identifying new opportunities out there. Again, because business relationships, I want them to last forever.
Yeah.
We focus on trying to help a business relationship last forever, but things change. There's conditional love and there's unconditional love. And, I have unconditional love for my kids. Well, I always have that. Uh, but everything else is conditional. And
Exactly.
I think we realize that, but the more we can give people that opportunity, to me, and to grow, the better off we're going to be. We sort of divided up our teams into sort of the service area and more of the sales area, which I wanted to have it so we could have geographic teams focused on agents. I wanted to make sure that those agents are supported with a sales team and a part of a service team versus just, you know, randomly getting somebody different all the time or just relying on one person all the time. We tried to make it so that we're more effective as an organization.
And ultimately, the driver behind that is to provide better service for our agents.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, I think to me, that again, the only way we evolve is if we help our agents evolve.
Mhm.
We have that tagline, sharing success
Sharing success
together,
together. Yep.
right? And that's what we do. We try to help agents share success together with them so that the more we help them, we will benefit. And what does that mean? Could it be monetary? Yes. Could it be just gratification? Definitely. There's all different things. There's no better feeling, having been sort of on that, it's sort of like almost a wholesaling role in a way that our sales team does. There's no better feeling than to be talking to an agent who is so frustrated, so down, so just, confused about something. And by the time you finish that conversation, they're feeling good.
Mhm.
They have a path to success.
Mhm.
They had their problem solved and they feel good.
Yeah, those are some of my most rewarding conversations, especially Monday morning conversations. Someone calls you up and Chris, I'm not having a good day and this doesn't look good. And what are we going to do here? And by the end of it, both of you are kind of celebrating a little win. Well, we know where we're going to go from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you. Let's look into 2026 a little bit. What kind of industry trends are you focusing on right now? Is there anything that's sticking out to you that might either give us a big opportunity or rear its ugly head in the near future?
If we were, like I said earlier, if we just stuck to the MA world, I would be, although again, I think that opportunity, I mean, when you look at sort of our growth, we want to have the growth, our trajectory to be not just like this. I think if we got to the point in our MA where we are coming up on that cusp and our choice is either to sort of start to go back on the back end or our opportunity is to then make it into more of an exponential, again, growth mode. And the only way to me we're going to do that is through diversification. We're fully committed. We brought on somebody to lead our annuity area. We brought on someone to help with our ancillary products. The sales team, we've got the core to try to help drive from a technology standpoint. We have some leadership development, which again, I really encourage everybody to look at some of the stuff we have on leadership development. And it's as simple as, how do I effectively manage my time?
Yeah.
What am I doing, the things that are the most important, or am I doing the things that are coming at me? And the more reactionary you are, the less proactive you can be to think about what you should be doing instead of reacting to what's right in front of you. And we all get there.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh
we
yeah.
all get there.
Especially
we all
this time of year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, how do I keep my head above water? And I think if you can just relax, take a little bit of a step back and focus on making sure you're doing the things, a simple thing. Okay. You know what? At the end of the day, all right, these are the things I need to do tomorrow before I do anything else. I have to get these things done in the morning before I do anything else. If you can have that discipline, and as an independent agent, I tell you, that's the hardest thing, is discipline. If you're out there, you hear me. Discipline is tough in that you have a choice every day. Well, you know what? I can go golfing, or I can see another prospect, or I can help solve another problem. What am I going to do?
Yeah, I can learn something new. There's always something.
There's always something. And if you're not disciplined enough to be able to make those right choices, if you're not disciplined to try to be more effective at your sales approach and how you manage your time, you're going to be pulling your hair out all the time. And I don't have any to pull out. So, yeah.
So what keeps you motivated as a leader in this space?
Every day I wake up and I look at the glass being half full. I really do. And I see the opportunity that we have not only at JSA, but what the entire industry has. And there's just so much opportunity out there. So the motivation really it's more internal about how I feel about where we're going directionally as an organization. And, if you were to bet on anyone, I'd bet on JSA, because I think we got a lot of great things going. We got a great group of people in the organization, a bunch of people that really care about what they do, not care about themselves as much as they care about, what the needs are of our agents. And I think that's just that makes me feel really good every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really does.
As an organization and our agency partners, as we move forward over the next few years, what does that definition of success look like for you?
There's a couple different things that we need to do as an organization. One, leverage technology. It's going to help us get there. We talked a little bit about that with Core. And I think if we can focus on technology, if we can focus on helping our existing partners grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we look at the current environment and we look at the things ahead of us, like the Medicare AEP and the individual AEP, what's one message or one piece of advice that you would give agents looking into the future to help them find some growth?
I know you'll be probably pulling your hair out during AEP. That's just sort of the way it is. And I say that it's just a lot of, there's a lot of stress. You got to do a lot of different things in a very short period of time. But if you were to ask me the one thing an agent can do more of, it's try to be more holistic in their selling approach. A lot of times during AEP, all you're able to think about is a transaction. And I understand that. But the more you can think holistically, the more you can really uncover the needs of your customer and understanding what they need beyond Medicare, the better you are going to be as a professional, the better you are going to be as an agent, the more referrals you're going to get, because your customers are going to depend on you for more than just one product. And I really believe that will set you up for long-term success.
Well, excellent. Well, thanks, Rick.
Sure.
Really appreciate you being with here today. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the JSA podcast. We look forward to doing many more of these, including with our CEO, Rick Harman, here to talk about the industry and as we look forward into the future in the independent agent world. So if you need anything this year, as we get to the Medicare AEP and of course the individual enrollment season for the ACA plans, please reach out to us. We have a lot of resources, a lot of great tools that we're working on. We have a lot of great things coming in 2026 to help you grow as an agent. So thanks again for watching. Thanks, Rick, for being here. And we'll see you next podcast.
Thank you.